make sure I looked a little bit good. I didn't do
Okay.
it.
I think that's good.
Okay. So, identify the speaker's goals and hopes for this session. So is that me? I'm
I
the
think-
speaker, and you're the coach? Speaker performs full rough draft of the speech. Okay, yeah, it is me.
Okay.
So, I guess I just really want to learn how to, like, get up there and not be nervous.
Okay.
So I guess, like, if I could at least do it in front of you and, like, get some tips on, like, how to... Because whenever I stand, too, I normally... This is in my way. Okay. Whenever I stand, I feel like whenever I speak, I'm, like, rocking back and forth. Or I tend to cross my leg and go like this. Because every time I give a speech to my boyfriend, he's like, don't cross your leg. And I'm like... don't even realize that I crossed my leg, or I'm like fidgeting with my hands, or I'm messing with my hair. So I just want to make sure I'm not fidgeting and like I'm confident. So speakers. Okay, so I'll give you the full rough draft, and I got the whole thing done, but I'll just like. Okay. Okay. Gosh, I didn't get it to play. Oh wait, I know why. Because I have the screen is broken. So. You ready? Okay. So, probably not the best to start out that way, but who here has had trouble scheduling for classes this semester? Okay. Now, who of you who raised your hands have had trouble? Oh shoot, I messed up already.
You're good.
Hold on, gotta reset that. Okay. Hi. Who here has had trouble scheduling with their classes thus far being in a college setting? Okay, now who of you raised your hands have had trouble alone this semester? That's what I thought. Me too. Because class registration is a struggle. I alone have had a really hard time this semester, along with every semester scheduling wise. I mean, it's just a really hard process to sit down and be like, okay, this is when my time ticket opens, and this is when I have to meet this advisor so I know exactly what I need to get, and then I have to sit down and actually go through it all, or I have to wake up extra early, or I have to miss class to go schedule, or I have to be sitting in class not paying attention because my time ticket opened at a certain time. This semester alone, I had to wait 2 extra weeks to schedule because I wasn't getting the certain classes that I needed, which was super frustrating. I now have it all handled, by the way. Got it done yesterday. So that was nice. But yeah, it's a really big struggle. So I want to dive into what some of the issues are for class scheduling, because as I mentioned, there are a lot of issues. So one of these issues being time. So for college students, time is of the essence. Like, we're constantly busy, like we're having deadlines, we are like trying not to waste our time doing a bunch of homework, we have to like spread our time in different areas, from going to class to homework to studying to other things that don't involve school, like going to work and getting hours at work, or being with the family. If you're a married mom who's going back to school, I've seen tons of parents on campus before. So I mean, time is very valuable, and we don't want to waste our time focusing and putting so much thought into something that shouldn't be that big of a deal, but it really is a big deal. So, like I said, it takes a lot of time of our day. The next thing I want to talk about is stress. So,
just pause for 1 second. I think one thing that would, it's a small space right now, but like kind of like move, like be like, okay, time and then like space, like kind of like go different places, because then it'll like kind of give your audience like, okay, like, this is time, this is what I'm talking about, this is space, like, kind of like, to differentiate the two.
Okay, so start out with, like, time, and then move on to space. I've got one more, which is energy, and, like, move down the line so people can follow me.
Yeah.
Cool, I like that. So should I start back at time, or should I just keep going?
Yeah, you should just start back at time, and then, like, so you can, like, see how you should.
Okay, we'll just leave it here, and we'll come back at time. So some of the issues that we discussed, one of them being time. Time is of the essence for college students. It's a really big deal to waste a lot of your time studying, or not wasting time doing that, but wasting your time focusing on something that maybe isn't a big deal. But things that we should be focusing on and putting all our time into would be studying and classes and work and being with friends. This college, like, class registration shouldn't be something that's a huge time commitment on our minds, but it continues to be. So we don't want to be wasting our time. Another thing is stress. So It adds to your workload, and it's really frustrating. I mean, to be sitting there and constantly thinking, okay, this is when my time ticket opens, or when your time ticket finally does open, your computer shuts down and for some reason doesn't work, or you go to the library and it malfunctions, or there's so many people that open at the exact same time as you, and you try to get on and work with it, and all of a sudden the whole system crashes. Like, that's so frustrating in itself. Not only that, but when it comes to major and minor decisions, like, that can be really scary. What if you're sitting there and you're like, well, I don't really know what I want to take anymore because I'm not really interested, and it's too late to meet with my advisor because I want to meet and get like all of this stuff done already, so none of the good classes are taken. Like, that can be scary, especially when you're thinking, well, maybe I want to switch, but then you feel like you can't because you're not going to meet with an advisor, you're not getting any help in this situation. So that can be stressful. And a lot of times the times and the days don't fit together, and you're having to make this by yourself, and that can be really frustrating in itself. And when you start to get frustrated, you start to overthink the process. Overthinking leads to panic. Nobody should have to panic about something as silly as class registration. So, the last issue is energy. So, we already have to spend a lot of energy balancing classes, tests, big projects, and especially at this time of the year, which always rolls around, is finals week and dead week and trying to study and all this stuff for big major things that count towards the end of our grade, which means like if we're going to move on, if we're able to pass a class, we should be putting all our energy into that. But instead we're putting energy into focusing on something as silly as class registration. That's something that's so frustrating, like I already mentioned before, and it's a waste of energy. Not only that, but it creates a lot of negative energy. Negative energy that we already feel with all the stress and pressure that we have, so we shouldn't need to create extra negative energy. This should be a fun place to be where we get to learn and be excited for the classes that we're taking. So, what can we do? So, let's talk about how freshman year, you're an incoming freshman. Go back with me. Imagine you're an incoming freshman. You're nervous and you're excited and you're taking all these new classes and you go through your whole first semester, and then you come down to the end of the semester where you're taking your first big finals week. And you're stressing out and you're thinking about all these things that are coming to an end, and instead of focusing on that,
You're good.
when you focus on that, instead of focusing of having to worry about your own class registration, you get to go meet with an advisor, your freshman advisor, and they sit down with you and they ask you like how your semester's going. If you like what you're doing, would you like to change a major? Would you like to add a minor? They sit with you and they ask all these things. They sit behind a computer and they help you figure out your next class schedule for the next semester. This was so exciting when I was a freshman. I was like, okay, this is just like high school, like they're really helpful with this. Newsflash, when I came to the next semester, going into summer before my sophomore year, they didn't help me. And this was something that was really frustrating, and it was something that was totally shocking to me because that's the first time I did anything. It was all of a sudden like I came from being a little high school person into a full-grown adult. We're freshmen, and especially like newcomers to college in general, are stuck in between this rock of being an adult and then having your mom and dad help you, and your coaches help you, teachers help you with like all these things in your life, and you're coming in, you're having to be like thrown at it. And I think like we're already having to be thrown at like a lot of things in college. Class registration shouldn't be one of them. Advisors are getting helped and paid to do this. So, I want to show you, oh shoot, I messed up. It's okay. So, everybody could use a little help. So what I think that we should do is mandatory advisor schedule. We should take the process of incoming freshmen and first semester freshmen and extend the advisor help throughout all the grades. Whether you're a junior, going to be a senior, or whether you're a super senior about to, ready to go in your last semester before you graduate, whether you're a master's.
I'm just gonna stop you real quick. Maybe like before you say like what you think should do, like kind of like touch on like why they have this system already in place. I mean, unless you're gonna reach that later on, but I would maybe say like why they have this system already in place, and like really say like, okay, this is wrong. I mean, you have been saying like why it's wrong, but say like why they have it already this way, and then propose like what you think should change, because then that'll kind of like go along with the story more, I feel like. And then help your audience to understand like, oh, well, like, we didn't know that's why they have it this way. Like, yeah, we're all stressed out, but we don't know why it is that way already.
So I should dive in and, like, get some research about, like, why it's that way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just, like, touch on it a little bit, just so it can kind of maybe go with the story more, because I think that'll kind of tie it all in together and, like, kind of, like, make your audience really understand, like, what you're saying better.
Okay. I'll look into that.
Okay. Yeah, you're doing great.
Thanks. I'm a little nervous. I can't tell. Okay. So instead of having a certain time ticket, we should have certain advisor meetings. It should completely replace the time ticket, and it should be excused for classes. So if your time ticket opens, or time ticket, which would now be your advisor meeting, it starts at 10 a.m. on a certain day, and you have a class on that same certain day at 10 a.m., you will get a permission excused, because this is a mandatory session where you get to sit down and they help you. They create, a personal plan for you, and if anything happens, like they've got extra paperwork, they can actually sit down and have a conversation with you. It's not you and a computer screen, it's you and a person, especially someone who's actually getting paid for this, to do this. And instead of it being an optional thing, it should be mandatory, because I feel like if it's just optional, we might not take it, because adults can be afraid to ask for help sometimes, especially when we're coming into college and we feel like we've got it all figured out. Sometimes we don't. And so, for all those people who say, you're adults, do it yourself, I want to bring you back to this graphic. So, this graphic, more than 75% of high school graduates, seniors, go to college within 500 miles to 2,000 miles away from home. Well, if you're a high school graduate, unless you're a really extreme case and your parents brought you up super, responsible for everything by yourself, sometimes there's still things that we didn't learn to do. Some of us didn't learn to do laundry yet. Some of us didn't learn to, be completely responsible for ourselves. And we're coming into college and we're having to be fully independent and self-sufficient and responsible. I mean, no wonder we're all stressed out. We're brought into this new place where we don't know anybody, and then having to be completely self-sufficient. It can be stressful. So I think lessening the stress of class registration would be a really big help. So we need to really focus on doing one thing at a time. We need to take baby steps when it comes to being an adult. We're already being thrown into all this stuff, like I've already mentioned. So baby stepping it through class registration is really helpful. So, so let's make this happen. So, yeah. I didn't finish all the things I said, but it's broken.
Oh, okay. I just didn't know if it was glitching or something.
No, it's sensitive.
Okay, yeah, no, I think you did really good, or really well. You definitely connected with your audience, very well. This is something that we can all, really, feel you on. I know.
I feel like everybody gets stressed out about.
I know, I have trouble scheduling classes.
I've sat there and I've seen people cry and, frustrated, and they're not even paying attention to class, and I was like, well, if I'm not the only one, maybe this is important.
Yeah, the only thing, I know, you're just, this is a rough draft and stuff, but, just, make sure when you're up there, just, talk how, you're talking, to a friend or something, don't feel, stressed out at all, and then also, just, really, try to, get into it, animate your voice a little bit more, I kind of felt like sometimes you were just, going through it, kind of, being oh, I gotta make this point, but, be oh, well, next time you try and do this, such and such, or just try and animate your voice more a little bit, I guess. But yeah, no, the 3 points things, I think that just would help your audience to kind of keep it in line and
Yeah. Do you think I should just move through as and be time, and then as I go on the next thing, I'm clicking, just moving through this, or should I be jumping?
Yeah, no, just kind of be just kind of do I forget what the 3 main ones were.
It was time, energy, and stress.
Okay, so just be so time, blah, 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 blah. And then moving on to stress, blah, 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 blah. And then moving on to energy, blah, 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 blah.
So just kind of time, moving on to stress, and then to finish up, energy.
So just kind of take them through the story, I guess.
Okay.
But yeah, no. that was really well.
When I was listening, remember when we watched that, did we watch the video in her class when we were watching the guy coach the girl or whatever? Mm-hmm. And she was like, let me take you back. And he was like, okay, let me take you back. Like, that's what I thought for a second when I said, no, let me take you back to freshman year.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that was good.
Yeah, no, that was really good. I mean, you know, obviously, like, your space and everything. But, yeah, no, just keeping that, I think, would, like, really just make your story, like, whole. And then also, too, maybe include, like, some more personal stories in there, like be like I was registering for this class, like even if it's like not true, but like
just
say
take it till you make it.
I completely missed my class and I missed an assignment that was due because I was busy scheduling for classes, but my professor didn't really help me out at all. Like kind of just like come up with a story and then like it gets your audience like really connected into it. And I mean you did really well with like Take Me Back, like
I actually do remember one time, like, it was freshman year going into my sophomore year, mm-hmm. and I didn't even know that for my department that I had to request permission for certain classes, mm-hmm. and I kept getting emails, and I was just like, whatever, and I deleted it. I didn't know it was important. And then the next semester, I know I didn't get any theater classes. Oh, and I was like, oh my god, and then it was like, okay, because I could take all my gen, like, I took, like, PFW and, like, all the mm-hmm. last, like, history classes and math classes I needed to take, but if I was done with that, I would have been so screwed. Yeah, cause and it's stuff that I wish I could have sat down with an advisor mm-hmm. and known.
Yeah, because even when, like, I was scheduling for this semester, like, there was probably, like, 2 seats left in every single class that I was registering for, and it's like, I'm kind of at the bottom because, like, my grade is a sophomore, but, like, the classes I'm registering for, like, or I'm registering for junior classes, but, like, the classes I'm registering for, like, there's some seniors that are going back and taking them and stuff, and their time tickets are before mine, so then I'm getting screwed over. So then, like, I mean, yeah, this is definitely, like, a really, like, good time to touch on, and,
yesterday while I was performing it, like, in my bed, because I wasn't feeling good yesterday, and I was just, like, I literally did all this yesterday, and was just going through it all, and I was like, I'm so frustrated because I still haven't scheduled. And I'm going to be a senior. I was like, this is so frustrating because I've gotten no permission yet. I've emailed people. No one's getting back to me. And I was like, you know what? Let's just go on and see if I can get something. And I did. They just didn't email me. And I was like, so frustrated. So now I've got my senior year fall. And I was like, thank God. Yeah. That was stressful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then, for your plan, for, like, what we should be doing, like, you did really well at explaining it. I think maybe like in between like kind of like each like section, like saying like, okay, this is like the problem, like these are like the 3 things, like kind of just take a deep breath and like kind of readjust yourself a little bit, because then I know I do that and I like am rushing. I'm like, okay, I gotta hit this, I gotta hit that, I forgot about this, I gotta go back to it. Just like kind of take a deep breath and like talk slow, because like you started off talking a little fast, like just talk slow, just think about it, like and then if you do forget it, like kind of just say, and also to reiterate like blah blah blah, like.
Do you feel like I'm repeating a lot of things?
I think since you were kind of like not like rushing in a sense, but you were just kind of like, I mean it's like a rough draft, you're practicing it still, so you're kind of like, I gotta say this, like, should I say it this way? Should I, like, do this? Like, I think you were just a little choppy, so it was, like, kind of not running as smooth, but, like, I mean, as you practice it, obviously, like, you're gonna make it smoother, like, you're gonna probably come up with different ideas, maybe rearrange it a little bit, so.
Especially if I add in, like, why things could be the way they are mm-hmm. now, and then how we can get to changing it, I'll probably add an extra slide and, like, mm-hmm. an extra note card.
Yeah, and then, also, maybe, like, if you can look at, like, I mean, I don't know if, like, other colleges do it, like, the way that you were saying. I mean, you did say, like, in high school, like, you did that, like, with your guidance counselor. So, like, that was, like, good. But then maybe see if, like, you can find out if other colleges do it like that. And then say, like, oh, well, such and such, like, maybe make up a friend or something that goes there. And then say, like, yeah, they're not stressed at all when registering for classes.
I found, like, in one of my research, I found an article, and it was about people who come to the United States for college, but before they do, they're in a different country. and how frustrating it is for them in a different country to be doing that. And I was going to include it, but then I was like, well, I mean, they're from a different country. I don't know if they could meet with an advisor anyway. Yeah. So I was like, we're going to leave that out.
But even at that, like, you could include, like, they could meet virtually with an advisor. Like, they could call them or something. So, like, I mean,
or
I think
FaceTime or, like, something.
Because I think that's, like, an interesting fact, too, to include, like, oh, I didn't, like, really think about that. Like,
I never thought about it either, and I was like researching all this stuff, and then like the statistics and stuff. I was gonna go more into detail, but then at that point I was like, let's just get to this.
Okay.
Oh shoot! Is somebody waiting outside? Because it's 2:30.
No. Okay. Can you like? Is it still? It is still recording.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
It is at low power.
Oh shoot.
It's 20 minutes right now, so we've got.
Okay.
We'll just keep going until somebody comes and knocks on the door.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to like
If
just
worse
take a
comes to
breath for a
worse.
second and then like.
Yeah. If worse comes to worse, we can always like switch the phones, and then I can send you the rest. And like I don't know how that would.
Yeah. Or even I could like just record it on my laptop. I don't really need it.
Okay. Okay.
Did you pause it?
No.
Oh.
It's still going.
I'll pause it right now in case someone, so we can go to that other room.
Go to the other room?
Yeah.
Okay.